Everybody Pulls the Tarp, Andrew Moses. Andrew received his accounting degree from SMEAL in 2007. He is the Vice President of Business Development and Marketing at Morgan Franklin Consulting, Vaco's global consulting platform. The company helps organizations of all sizes solve complex finance, technology, and business challenges. Andrew is the co-founder of SMEAL's DC Metro Area Alumni Club, and in 2013, Andrew became the youngest alumnus to ever win the Penn State Alumni Association's Alumni Volunteer of the Year Award. Everybody Pulls the Tarp is a video podcast series, and each week, Andrew interviews Olympians, pro athletes, elite coaches, CEOs, best-selling authors, and other inspirational people about leadership, work ethic, and more. Everybody Pulls the Tarp is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. The SMEAL College of Business is very proud of Andrew's professional and personal accomplishments, and we want to thank him for taking the time to coordinate this live version of Everybody Pulls the Tarp for us. So without further ado, Andrew, the show is yours.
Thank you, Jen. And welcome everybody to a special live edition of the Everybody Pulls the Tarp podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Moses. And like Jen said, each week I sit down with inspirational people and we talk leadership, work ethic, teamwork, and more. First off, I want to thank Penn State University and the SMEAL College of Business for hosting this live show today. Penn State has been and always will be such an important part of my personal and professional life. So it's great to get together, even if it's just virtual, with my Penn State family, extended family, and anybody who's a friend of a Penn Stater. Next, I want to thank all of you for tuning in. I see in the chat you're tuning in today from a lot of different places. I think we have 16 people are tuning in from over 16 different countries today, which is incredible. And it's just a true testament to the fact that Penn Staters are everywhere, Krieger's fans are everywhere, and people all over the world are just inspired by great leadership, great teamwork, and tremendous work ethic. So before we get started, I want to just touch on two quick things. One, in celebration of today's live show, I'm doing a little giveaway on Instagram. So we're giving away a $50 Amazon gift card, an autographed soccer ball from Allie, and I'm going to ship you one of my favorite leadership books. All you have to do to enter is you got to make sure you're following me at Andrew Moses 123 and following Allie at Allie Krieger, and then just head to my feed and like the post about today's event, and you're entered. That's it. Second, just want to reiterate what Jen said. We know we're on Zoom, and we know we'd all, prefer to be in the Schwab Auditorium or in some classroom in the business building, but we want this event to be as interactive as possible today. So at any point, drop a question in the webinar chat, and we'll get to as many as we possibly can. I know everybody has a ton of questions for Allie about her career. So without further ado, I want to introduce my special guest today. She's a two-time World Cup champion, an Olympian, an international soccer sensation, a fellow class of 2007 Penn State alumni. Now, the difference between Allie and I, she led the women's soccer team to 4 consecutive Big Ten titles. That's right, 4. Let's give it a warm welcome for the one and only Allie Krieger.
Hi, everybody. It's so great to be here. Thank you, Andrew, for that amazing introduction. I'm so excited to talk to you and also the alumni, the amazing alumni, and my fans all around the world. So thank you all for joining. I've seen everyone in the chat, so it's an honor to be here.
Allie, we can all tell from the background, and you and I chatted yesterday. Yes. You are at women's national team camp. So how does it feel to be back with the crew?
Oh, it's amazing. This is our day off today, so I'm so excited to be joining you and have plenty of time to chat. So it's been so nice, and we do have some of the younger players and some players from the NWSL who deserve this call up to be in camp with us, and it's been really fun. Obviously, the first couple of days just try to get the cobwebs out from these 7 months of random trainings and obviously. Getting back into the swing of things. So yeah, this is just a great week or 10 days, I should say, to get back together and get back on this train of focusing for the Olympics.
So Obviously, Ali, I want to start, I've been thinking a lot lately about the word sacrifice. We're
Mhm.
all making sacrifices, right? I mean, we would all, like I said earlier, we'd all rather be in the Eisenhower Auditorium doing this event, or, in some classroom in Thomas Building. But we're social distancing, and we're doing all kinds of different things. We're all making sacrifices. My girls are
Mhm.
going to school online. But when I think about an elite performer in any space, right? In sports, in business, in entertainment, it's really all about sacrifice. Throughout your life,
Mhm.
you're making sacrifices. And I guess where I want to start with you today is, as you think back on your career, even all the way back to your childhood or your time at Penn State, what sacrifices did you make in order to achieve the greatness that you achieved?
Yeah, great question. This I shouldn't say job because it's actually very fun for me and I love what I do. But the work that we do is a 24-hour job. So you're sacrificing your time with your family, your friends. You're sacrificing holidays. You're sacrificing, weddings and funerals, and just time, quality time with the people who you love. And it's difficult, but it is what we love to do, and we love to win. We love to succeed, and we love to have fun. And this is why we do what we do. And we love to inspire and motivate others to want to be just as successful, and just to work just as hard, and have that, certain mentality, to never give up and to follow your dreams. And it's really important that, you understand that I don't really see it as a sacrifice, because it's where I want to be, and it's who I want to be, and it's everything that I embody is wanting to be successful and be good at something. And so I don't know if I would use the word sacrifice. Um, I would just say this is where I want to be, and I'm willing to, sacrifice certain things in order to win championships and be a part of a team that's bigger than myself. So, or be a part of something that's bigger than myself. So I don't know if I consider it sacrifice. Yes, we do miss out on a lot of things. And specifically during this time, you've had to navigate other ways to continue to be successful and stay at the highest level. And that goes for anybody in the workplace. That goes for you and for me and anyone else. So yeah, there are sacrifices, but if you choose, this is a choice. And so I choose to be in this position. I choose to play the sport that I absolutely love. And there's also benefits that come with those certain sacrifices.
You mentioned there, being part of something that's bigger than yourself.
Hmm.
And you and I have talked about the name of my podcast is Everybody Pulls the Tarp. And it's all based
Hmm.
upon a philosophy that I have, that great teams and great organizations everywhere are powered by individuals who contribute in unexpected ways. And I get asked all the time, well, why do you call it Everybody Pulls the Tarp? And for me, it goes back to 16 years ago. My first internship, I was a student at Penn
Hmm.
State, and I had a front office internship working for a minor league baseball team. And I show up on the first day. I think I'm going to learn the business of sports. And they tell me to bring a pair of old clothes the next day and keep them in the locker room so that I could pull the tarp on and off the baseball field when it rains. And I say, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
All right. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they explained to me just real quick, right? They say, look, we've got the same dirt as the big league club. We've got the same grass as the big league club. The field is the same size, right? I said, 100%. They said, but they have a grounds crew of like 20 people up there at the show. We've got 5, 6, 7. So everybody, CEO, down to you, Andrew, new intern. You're going to pull the tarp when it rains. So it really has instilled in me my entire life philosophy that I've got to contribute way outside the bounds of the job description. And as we get back to your career and think about your work ethic and your leadership over the years, are there little things that you've done, maybe they seem little at time, Ali, that
Mhm.
when you think about it, they're small things that have just added up to make a really big difference?
Yeah, absolutely. I think going on what you had just mentioned, it's so important that when you're in a team environment, that everyone understands their role, no matter how big or small. And I think that's what makes a team successful, or an environment in the workplace, because you are on a team, heading for the same goal. And I think understanding your role at every single level, whether that's, me not, starting a game, or me starting a game, or, me within being a captain within my family, different aspects of my life that I carry. I think that you have to have a good understanding of your role, and then in order to be successful. So if you understand what's expected of you, and you understand a certain standard that you are willing to bring to the table and bring into that role that is expected of you, that's when you find success. Because, for example, say, towards now with the national team, maybe I'm not starting every single game. But if I have an understanding of what my job is that day, whether that's just to encourage the players in my position, to help them, be successful, and, cheering them on, giving them good feedback, training hard against them, or whatever it may be, that's my role of the day. If I'm chosen to start that day, I have to bring my best and be my best in order to help the team be successful. That's just individually. So kind of having an understanding of what your role is. And for you, that was to pull the tarp that day. And that was your job in order to help the team be successful and help that, team environment be successful. I also believe in that if the staff members are also not pulling their weight, the team won't be successful. So the staff members also have to show up. The coaching staff, the equipment staff, the medical staff and team, like if everyone is doing their job to their best of their ability and understanding their role for that moment, you will be successful. And I think that it's really important to have that mentality in everything that you do.
So when I think about your career, Allie, right, and some of the things that you just said there, like what comes to mind for me is the phrase self-starter. Like there are some people who are just self-starters, right, or learn to self-start and drive their careers. And we'll get to your time at Penn State in a bit, but I want to talk a little bit about after Penn State. So after Penn State, there really wasn't necessarily a clear step. There wasn't a professional league. There wasn't necessarily like, this is what Allie's going to do next. So you decide to go play in Germany. Talk about the thought process that went into that, and what that experience was like.
At that moment, I was obviously, unfortunately, our league in the United States folded. So we didn't really have many, options when I graduated in 2007. And I wanted to get to the highest level. My goal was to make the national team and play at the highest level possible. So at that time, I was on the U23 national team, and I was still training with, in the spring season of my senior year, I was still training with, Penn State women's soccer, which was really great. And then after I graduated, I went to, with the U23 team for a tournament. And I was seen by a few of, European coaches there. It was in Vasa, Finland at the time, that summer. I think it was in June or July. And I, thought to myself, if I want to make it to the next level, I need to, give myself or put myself in an environment that's going to challenge me, that's going to help me grow and become a better player, and more importantly, a better person. And so I need to, take this risk. And I ended up, having a trial with FSC Frankfurt at the time, which I saw in the chat. Yes, I do miss Germany so much. And I, Frankfurt will always be my second home. But anyway, besides that, I knew I needed to go over there in order to be seen by, our national team coach, because if you weren't currently on the national team, it was really difficult to have an opportunity to get into camp if you weren't really known through that process. And so at that time, I thought to myself, well, staying home and playing twice a week with my guy friends from high school, playing pickup, every Tuesday, Thursday night, really isn't going to get me to the level I want to be at. So I took the risk of just going on a trial to Frankfurt. And this was one of the best decisions I've ever made for myself in my career. And little did I know at the time that this risk would lead me to my dream job. And I showed up for a trial for 1 week in Germany at the beginning of August, or mid-August, when they had started preseason. And they allowed me to train, and I show up and there's like 7 German national team players on Frankfurt. And I said, oh my God, I had no idea. This is like insane. I can't believe I'm going to be training with Birgit Prince and Steffi Jones and Nia Kunzer and all these amazing players. And Renata Lingor, and I could go on, but I was so incredibly lucky to be put in that environment. And I trained really hard. I just did the best I could. They asked me to come back a week later and said, hey, we want you to sign for 2 years. And I said, absolutely. This was, an opportunity for me to challenge me. It made me uncomfortable. I think when you put yourself in uncomfortable situations, that's when you grow the most. And I decided to do that. And I took that risk. I showed up. I had no idea how to speak German. I had no friends there. I just went on my own and had this experience. Luckily, my agent at the time, was a father figure for me, and his wife Margareta and him Brian Eilert, who supported me, and their daughter Kim, who I became really close friends with. So I had a family there to help out, which was pretty incredible. I was really grateful for that. And I just fit right in. I started learning the language. I, played at the highest level, and my football started getting better and better. I brought kind of my American style and meshed it with this European style, with this technical, tactical style that's really respected now and growing in the game. And I meshed the two, and I just kind of did my own thing. We won the treble the first year in 2008 that I was there, which is the German Bundesliga championship, the German Pokal, which is also the German Cup, and the Champions League we won as well in Frankfurt. So it was probably one of the best experiences of my life. I obviously, went through some difficult times because I didn't understand the language. The culture was new. I had no friends. So I needed to, kind of put myself out there and really embrace the culture and the people and the food and the team. And I absolutely loved it. And I stayed for 5.5 years.
One of the questions, Ali, that's coming in the chat, you just touched on some of the cultural differences and some of the challenges. But how did you stay so positive during that? People say that Ali Krieger is one of the most positive people on the face of the earth. How did you?
I have my days.
We all do. How did you stay positive when you were adapting to all those cultural changes? Thanks for the question.
Yeah. Thanks for that question. That's great. It is difficult when you're by yourself over in a new country, new culture. I just took one day at a time, honestly. And luckily I had my second family there to be able to support me, who knew the language and the culture and had lived there. And they really embraced me, and I was a new family member for them. So they encouraged me every single day to just stick with it. And after 3 months, I literally wanted to come home because I was crying after practice. I'll tell you a short story. Like, in the American culture, we're very positive, and that's just naturally how we are. Encouraging on the field. If you miss a shot and it goes out for a throw in, everyone's like, "Nice try! Like, you'll get it next time." When it was like terrible. Well, over there, they're very blunt. They're honest, and you have to have thick skin. And I didn't really have a good understanding of that right when I went over. So I was expecting it to be like more encouraging. But they would turn around, my teammates would be like, that's not good enough. Like, you need to be better. Like, that's just not going to cut it. And I remember after training one day, I was just really upset because I wasn't used to that. And I just needed to, open my mind a little bit and just take the criticism and learn at age 23 how to apply that to get better every day. And I wanted to prove myself every single day. And I knew that I had that within me. I think it's just a drive that I naturally have to want to be really good. And I'm somewhat of a perfectionist, but in the sport that I love, over there, we've kind of, I think the same. If you're not good at it, you're not really going to try. And I know how good I can be at this sport. And so I was willing to do anything and everything to get better every single day. And that's kind of how I approached the whole situation, to stay positive. And I taught them a thing or two as well, just with my mentality and with the way I live my life and how I choose to speak and think. So I think it encouraged them a little bit as well. We shared some really good conversations, and I grew to love it, and I got better every day, and they helped me get to the level I'm at now. So I owe a lot to Frankfurt and the players there and my teammates and friends who I've made, and also to the club. and Ziggy, Dietrich, who was, someone who gave me an opportunity that led me here.
Do you believe when you look back that if you don't make that decision right after Penn State to go to Germany, that all this might not have happened the way it happened for you? And you might not be a two-time World Cup champion, and you might not be an Olympian. Do you ever think about that?
Yes, I do. I know that I probably would have found a way at some point. That's just how I am. I'm so determined and driven to want to succeed and follow my dreams. And I believe in myself. I back myself. So I know I would have put myself in a situation where I could be here, but obviously we all kind of take different paths. I was a late bloomer with the national team. I made the national team at 25, 26. Right before the 2011 World Cup. So I was pretty late to the party. A lot of my teammates now, were with the youth programs and, came up through the youth. And I think, people who kind of take different paths, just look at my story and understand that, with determination and drive and if you put your mind to something and you want to continue to get better, you can do it. And I think that just because you're not on the youth national teams doesn't mean you're never gonna make it. And I think you just have to put yourself in situations where you're challenged and you can grow. I put myself in a situation where players were better than I was, and I learned to be better myself, and I just worked that much harder to want to be here. And I train with the best every single day at this level, and you have to perform at your best, and you have to have that mentality that you're going to fight through and survive, because this is a man eat man situation and environment where if you don't show up and you don't have the mentality to be here, that like strength and drive, you're not going to succeed and you're not going to last very long. So I had to kind of grow that thick skin, and I think that's what helped me get here. But yeah, I do think about that. Like, what kind of path would I have taken? I don't know. I don't really dread too much on it or think too much on it because I'm here now. So it's really difficult to kind of picture myself in any other situation. But that's a great question. I tend not to think about it too often. But yeah, I'm kind of like, wow, if I would have never taken that risk, then would I have been here at my dream job? I don't know.
It's a great. It's just a great reflection on the importance of taking risk, and you truly never know. And if there's nobody better to bet on than yourself.
Exactly.
I truly believe that, right? And you talked about, you started to talk there about the transition into the women's national team. And I had a few months ago, Christy Pierce-Rampone was on this show, and she told me that, Andrew, the practices on the women's national team are generally harder than the games because we're the best team in the world.
Yeah.
Do you believe that? Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. It's really difficult. I mean, I'm training with the first and second best team in the world, and that's not something that I'm like, arrogant or cocky to say. I just believe in that. And that's what makes us the best, because we train with such good players every day that you are challenged and you are, influenced and inspired by good players. And there are players here who are better than I am. And that's what I love about being here, is because I can learn so much, I can grow, and I get better every time I step out on the field. And I'm humble enough to say that. And I feel that it's true. I know it might seem arrogant, but that's why we continue to be the best, because we have a plethora of players who are challenging each other and fighting until our 5v5 matches or training sessions when we play 8v8 or 11v11 inter squad scrimmages are probably some of the best games that we play. And it's really fun to be a part of, and it's fun to watch, and it's inspiring to just kind of be in that moment and see how grateful we are to have such great players to train with.
We're getting some questions here about your time at Penn State. So you 4 Big Ten titles, right? And there were some injuries and obviously some health scares and things which we'll get into. But when you think about Germany, obviously a huge impact on your career. What about people want to know? What about your time at Penn State?
That's when I turned Professional, really. I had this, obviously Penn State we represent this incredible mentality, this blue collar mentality that you can't, replicate anywhere else, really. Maybe possibly at the national team, but at Penn State, that's where I gained that experience of, rolling my sleeves up and really getting after things and wanting to be a professional and continue my career and having a good understanding of, wow, like this can be something. This is something that I can actually pursue after school. This is something that I'm driven to do and I'm born to do. And I had a better understanding of what winning means, and that's both on and off the field, in school and in sport. I always say this, I really learned how to be the best student athlete. Student comes before athlete. And that's because we were definitely encouraged and motivated to want to be the most successful team academically as well as on the field. And I think when those two kind of collided for me and really meshed well, I became a professional, and I started to develop and understand the game a lot more. And I really enjoyed that winning experience. And that's, I think, what set me up for the next level, to take my professional career into Germany. And that's what set me up for success there and then here. So I had a great foundation, a great college experience. I had great people around me, including the coaching staff and the athletic director who supported us through and through. And it was just a really good environment to become a professional.
So now somebody wants to know, were you more of a college pizza person or a Canyon pizza person?
Well, I was living more so on 432 West College Ave, so it was more of a college pizza person.
I was more
we would sit in, we would sit in to the bigger slices over on Krieger. Oh God. I shouldn't say anything.
Yeah, a couple of comments actually. Everybody's for college pizza, but I agree. I agree. Yeah.
I mean, both are great. Let's be honest.
But
depends on the night you had, I think.
I think so. I think Canyon right now would be great for social distancing. It's very open air. They'd be very, very effective right now. But going back to what you were talking about and how Penn State prepared you. I mean, I think about that all the time when I reflect on my experience at Penn State. I had a ton of fun. I made great friends. But when I think about my career and any, fraction of success that I've had, right, I attribute a lot of it to the experience at Penn State, because Penn State prepared me for what was to come. I mean, in any room, I'll tell you, right? I mean, just like you said, I mean, in any room, I'm not going to be the smartest guy. I'm definitely not the most athletic guy, but nobody's going to outwork me. And nobody's going to out-prepare me. And I think Penn State, I mean, obviously a lot of that is, I have great parents and a great upbringing and a good high school experience and a good support network around me, but great mentors. But Penn State, to me, taught me how to be a professional in whatever it is I was going to do. And I guess when you think about, getting to the women's national team and getting into that kind of like that orbit where it's just incredibly intense.
Yeah.
Did that Penn State experience made a difference?
Absolutely. I was so prepared, just like you said. That's such a great word to describe it. My preparation from college and kind of every single day learning that blue-collar mentality and how to fight through anything in order to be successful and win was something that I carried on through my whole career and still to this day. So I'm so happy that we had that foundation there, both on and off the field. How to be, disciplined in school and get good grades and make the dean's list, and then translate that onto the field and apply, that professionalism into the games and that understanding and development into the games, and then moving on to, professional career. And now I feel like I have a specific standard that I need to, set for myself every single day and try to achieve. And that is something that I don't really, take for granted, and I don't lower that for anyone. And I try to get my teammates, both with Orlando and players here, to meet that standard. And I set that very high, and I think that's what I have learned from Penn State. So yes, I can credit a lot of that development, and where I am now to school and what they've given me, that platform.
One of the things that that sometimes has been a challenge for me in my life or in my career is, I do everything 150%. And if I
Hmm.
see people around me on my team, or we're working on a project together, or some initiative, and they're
Hmm.
not giving 100%, and you can tell they're not giving 100%,
Yeah.
frustrates me.
Hmm.
So now, when you encounter folks that are giving less than maybe you think they should be giving, how do you navigate that?
Great question. I, try to encourage them, and like understanding what or why they're not willing to give that, but they won't last very long in the environment that I put myself in if they're not willing to, give 110%. And that comes from mentality as well. But if they don't have a good understanding of that, then ask the right questions. You have to, in order to understand the level or the standard that you need to bring every single day. If you don't know, then you need to ask the right questions. People don't know things that they don't know. And you ask the right questions, but also I'm a leader who loves to support but demand. I'm really supportive, and I can be really nice and build you up, but I expect you to work really hard and be very have that hardcore mentality on the field, and that winning mentality, or else I just can't bother. And I think that's with anything that I do. I just want to be good at something, and I think encourage other people and inspire other people to want to be good at something too. But I put everything into what I'm doing, and with football, comes that comes easy to me because I love it so much and I'm so passionate about it. And I think I'm supportive yet demanding. So I just demand more from my teammates and encourage them to want to get better every day, and then apply that to their opportunities.
One of the conversations I had a number of months ago, another one was with one of the top volleyball coaches in the country. She's at the University of Florida. She's won 15 SEC Coach of the Year awards. And I asked her if she coaches to perfection. And she said,
Hmm.
no. She said, I don't coach to
Hmm.
perfection. I coach to get a little better this
Hmm.
afternoon than we were this morning. What are
Right.
your thoughts on that? How do you said earlier you're a perfectionist. How do you
Yeah.
balance, the chase for perfection with what's realistic?
I do a lot of breathing exercises. I can tell you that. Um, No, I can agree with her on that. I think it's really important to set short goals. And I think that I learned that through one of my injuries when I tore my ACL, setting small goals for myself, because I know, you have long-term goals and you have short-term goals, but even shorter term goals. So like daily goals turns into weekly goals, and that turns into monthly goals, into yearly goals. So then I think setting small goals every day. Okay, what can I do to get better than where I was yesterday, and try not to make the same mistake twice in one day or in one session. So it's a learning process, and you have to have some grace with yourself. I know I'm a perfectionist in some things, but I do give myself grace, and I understand in certain situations, we're all human. And so at the end of the day, you have to just set these small goals and continue to work off of that. And then daily goals turn into weekly goals, just like I said. And I think that's how I go about everything. And not to rush anything. Everything is a process, and everything takes time, that are good things. And so I think people need to understand that you're human. And if you can kind of just set small goals for yourself and achieve those and feel good, and then move on to the next goal, then that's a great achievement for that day or that week or month.
You talked about, you referenced injuries there a little bit, and
Hmm.
you've had a few throughout your career. I know
Yeah.
in '05, you had the broken leg, and then obviously, we've all read the story about the pulmonary embolism that
Yeah.
nearly took your life, if it wasn't for
Hmm.
some good fortune in getting to the hospital.
Yeah.
How did those experiences, right? those experiences and coming back from those, do you think that kind of added to the skin thickening that you talked about that happened in Germany? Or
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. I do think going through those experiences is, it's life is hard, and we go through things that, are unexpected, and you have challenges and multiple obstacles through life. And I always say, you can't actually, my brother had said this a long time ago, and I've just kind of carried it on with me, that you can't go around, um, you know, challenges or obstacles or go over them or under them. You have to go through them. And I take that with me through a lot of, experiences in my life, and, different challenges that I have. And I think it really helps. I learn a lot about myself through those processes. So I'm like, bring it on. Life as we know it is hard, and it's worth living, and through everything. And if you feel those feelings, then you understand you're human. And I think that it's nice to feel, sad or happy or different emotions, because that means I'm alive. And going through those injuries has really changed my perspective on how I go through my life and my career. And once again, going back to setting those goals, I think it's really important that, not everything in your career is going to be perfect. You're going to have these obstacles, but how you go through that process, feel that process, challenge yourself every day to get better through that process, and then come out on the other end a better person or better player, which I, was grateful that it happened to me. I was both a better player and a better person going through that. So I encourage people to just feel through those emotions and feel through those injuries, and really just keep setting certain goals every day to get better, whether that's doing 12 leg lifts more than just 10 from the day before. I mean, as simple as that. It's just progress, and you have to give yourself some grace, and you have to back yourself and understand that you will get back to where you want to be. You just have to continue to be motivated and put yourself in situations with the medical staff, with surrounding yourself with good people, positive people who will support you through it. And understand to back yourself, and know that you will be better going through that process, whether that be, just as an individual, and then also as a player. You're going to have more perspective on how to deal with life challenges in the future.
So let's fast forward to 2015, a great time, right?
Mhm.
World Cup.
Yeah.
You start all 7 games.
Yeah.
You guys hold the opponents scoreless. I'm just making sure I get the number right here, because it was staggering. 539
Yeah.
minutes. It was a record. The defense that you led only allowed 3 goals in 7 games, 5 consecutive shutouts. I mean, I could go on and on.
Yeah.
Talk about. There you go. Give yourself a moment there. Right. Talk about how that experience in 2015. I mean, right. You bring all this together, right? You think about the childhood. You think about the experience at Penn State, all the adversity, and then you get there in 2015, and you are as integral a part of what all of us watched on TV, and seeing that team together. Talk about that a minute.
It was incredible also just, I want to say this first and foremost, the supporters and fans around the world, and, our friend and family who basically carried us through that experience were so incredible, and I'm so grateful for that. You guys were amazing, and we're our 12th man, or I should say 24th man on the field, and that was such a cool experience to see the country come together and watch the sport that we love so much. And also for the fans and supporters who maybe they've played, football, and they've grown up with it and loved it just as much as we did. And that passion, we really felt it, and it motivated us to want to win and continue to tackle and score and run and just be good and perform. And so I just want to say thanks to the fans. It was an incredible year, incredible experience. The World Cup is the pinnacle of our sport. It is the best tournament in the world. The most popular tournament in the world, I should say, for any sport. And to win that in that fashion, and have kind of like a repeat and a revenge against Japan was a dream come true. And that's how I can explain it. Other than playing on the turf, But you know what? We had to just swallow that pill and say, listen, everyone else has to play on it too. And we're going to get the job done. So let's go. And no one's going to stop us, and just watch us shine.
So 2015, let's move to 2016. So the Olympics, the Olympics don't end the way we all expected, and certainly the way you guys wanted. But I'm not sure you know this, but you were the first national team player to get back on the field with her professional team back in the States.
Yeah.
Talk about that for a minute. You know, everybody else got back. It took them a few more days, but you were right back there. What motivated you to just get back on the field with your team back home?
First and foremost, I'm very loyal to my teams, and for club, I think it's really important to take it very serious. And it is very serious. And I love football. I've always loved it, as you could see, going over to Germany and playing there for 5.5 years. And it's so fun for me to play club and in the NWSL, and I respect my teammates. I respect the organizations, each and every one of them. And I think in order for the NWSL to grow to where we want it to be, we have to take it serious and we have to show up. And I'm the type of player that's going to show up for my team no matter what. And I obviously didn't have as many minutes as I wanted to in Rio, which, you know, it is what it is. And I felt good enough and confident enough to be able to go back and play right away. Also, you know, playing with DC that year, our team was doing so well. Even without us, like Crystal and I were like, oh God, do we even go back? Like, I mean, they're doing just fine. Like, what, you know, should we bother? Like, you know, they're doing great. You know, what if we ruin the whole streak? We were, I think, in first, second place that year. And, you know, going to the Olympics, I was really obviously excited, no doubt about it. Like that's, you know, on my list still to win a gold medal. So I'm pushing to do that. But, you know, I was upset. I was missing a few games with club at the time, you know, because our big tournaments are through our NWSL season. It's just the way it is. We move on from it. But going back was really encouraging because I felt like I was so motivated after that loss to Sweden. I was so motivated to want to win and want to succeed with my club team and get to the final. And we ended up doing that year. Unfortunately, it was another tough loss for me with the club. But we had a great team. I loved the team chemistry with DC. I will never forget it. I'm grateful for that organization and those 4 years that I had there because it's my hometown. So I loved it. And yeah, credit to the girls who, you know, who just excelled during that time that Crystal and I were away. And when we joined the team again, it was great. And I respect, you know, club football so much. And I'm very loyal to my club, no matter the circumstances. And I'm sure a lot of the fans can see that. And that's important to me.
Again, you know, to me, I think about pulling the tarp, right? And it's sometimes you lead, sometimes, you know, the best leaders are leading without saying anything, right? And and I think back to that, and when I think about the fact that, you know, you were back so quickly, even if you didn't say anything, just showing up, I'm sure meant, you know, the world to the rest of the club team.
Yeah,
so,
I think it built some confidence right away, so it was good.
Sure. Well, so let's talk about, let's kind of stay on that. We'll get, I've got some people here chatting, say, don't talk about 2016. We got to talk about
we got to go through it, right?
We got to talk about the highs and the lows. And you and I have talked about, obviously, the period between 2017 and 2019, where you were essentially cut from the national team without any real reason given to you, or any real good reason I could find, right? And you know, I think a lot, very different, right? I'm no World Cup athlete, but I think back on the start of my career, and you and I have talked about this. I was an accounting major at Penn State, and when you're an accounting major at Penn State, the big four accounting firms recruit you like crazy. And they want to get as many Penn State accounting students into the big four, and they wine and dine you, and they give you signing bonuses and all kinds of things. So I joined one of the big four accounting firms, and then 13 months in, it's 2009. The economic crisis, hits the country, and I get laid off. Just I come in for work, and they tell me to go home, and that's it. And I've got to sit there and figure out, okay, like for a couple of years, you guys all thought, I was pretty good and we're going to be pretty useful here. And now I've got to figure out what's next.
I got to pack my shit.
Yeah. And there's no there's no path for me. I don't know what's next. And I didn't pick up and go to Germany, but I moved from New Jersey to the DC area and started fresh with a new company that I'm still with here, 12 years later. But I think about that a lot. And I believe that that experience, just like the tarp pulling, that was another experience that thickened my skin and taught me to never take anything for granted as it pertains to my career. So we know that that your 17 to 19 has a happy ending in 2019, which we'll get to. But what was your mindset in those 2 years when you were effectively away from the women's national team?
Yeah, I was obviously devastated. This was, or this is my dream job, and this is what I've been doing for over 9 years, 10 years now. But at that time, it was about 9 years, 8 or 9 years. And I had been on the team for so long, and so I, had had an adjustment period, because I was like, wow, this is something very new to me. I don't understand the reason. It's not always going to be the case, unfortunately for many of us, living our lives. And it felt like it was some type of relationship that was just broken up just suddenly without any closure. I could kind of best describe it as that. And you kind of need closure for a specific relationship in order to move on, and that's what I felt like was missing. And so I didn't really have that, and I just had to sit with it and deal with it. And I went through a really depressing period. I don't think I shouted it from the rooftops, but I was really upset, and I really struggled for some time, mentally, and just kind of not having a good understanding of why I wasn't good enough, or why I didn't deserve to be there, because I was doing really well in club, and I had one of the best seasons of my club careers, or just football careers, in 2016 and 17, I should say. And so I felt a little bit, confused at the situation, and I didn't have, good understanding. So I went through that period of time first. And then I moved into, a period of, listen, F this, like, I know I'm good. I know I'm good enough to be, where I want to be. And I know that I can prove why I deserve to be there. And I'm going to continue to be the Allie Krieger that I know and love, and that I know can achieve success. And I will do that with my club team. It's not like I'm a certain Allie when I'm with the national team, and I'm another Allie with my club team. I'm a consistent Allie through and through, and I will be that, and I will continue to be that. And we got to the semifinals in the NWSL that year in 2017, which made me really happy, because and I was one of the top 5 defenders that year in the league. And I was so happy and proud of myself to kind of fight through that experience and keep my mental state. Even though I did struggle at the beginning, I kind of put that into like a controlled, I don't know, maybe just like a controlled ball. And I just applied it to my game, and I put myself on a schedule. I'm sure the fans have already heard a lot of the story, so I won't get too much into it. But I just trained every single day. I tried to get better every day, and I tried to improve on things that I thought maybe I needed to improve, and that my club coaches helped me with as well, and kind of getting feedback from them, because I didn't really have a good understanding from our former national team coach of the reasons why I was no longer in this situation. So that was tough. But anyway, I kept my cool, and I put all of that energy into a controlled ball, and applied it to my game, and just moved on with things that I wanted to always achieve and accomplish with AKFC, with my camps and clinics, and then also getting my coaching license, with some of the NWSL players, which was an amazing experience. So I was really happy, and I could see my family and friends more, and I could do some things that took my mind off of it. And then mentally, I was in a better place towards the end when she called me back.
And then we know not only did she call you back, but the second half of the finals, they needed you, and you run onto the field. And I remember saying to everybody, "This girl's at Penn State, or we got this. Start dusting off the trophy, right?"
Right.
And you guys win the World Cup again, and it's number 2 for you. It's just a fabulous story. So
Yeah, it was
We
great. I was the last one to touch the ball in the tournament, and that was just came full circle for me. And I was so happy for the team and just everything that we've achieved and our different stories. You know, a lot of my teammates have been through a lot of shit, I can say, excuse my language, but we've all been through some really tough times. And my story is only one of many stories at this level. And you have to have the mentality to stay at this level and to want to continue to be at this level to achieve success, and you will do anything in your power to do that. And so I think I'm just proud of all of my teammates in different moments of their careers to continue to fight and be out on top.
So we're getting near the end here.
Mhm.
One question that just came in: how do you stay calm under pressure? People want to know how do you stay calm when the pressure's on?
Good question. I love that question because, you know, it is exciting when you get out and you see all the fans and there's, you know, thousands of fans, you know, watching you and inspired by you and motivated by you and what you're doing to perform at your best and just watching what you love to do. It's really cool experience, and you do get nervous because you want to be the best. You don't want to make mistakes. Yes, you're allowed to make mistakes, and it's okay if you do. You just get right back up. You know, you definitely don't make you know, more than one mistake in 10 different situations, and so that's a plus. But it's hard not to get nervous or you know, I guess, anxious before games and things like that. But if you back yourself, if you know that you trust yourself and you trust the people around you to do the right thing and to help you look good, that's how you stay calm. So for me, I know that I have a lot of my teammates who look up to me and how I have to carry sometimes some players, and I'm willing to do that because I'm mentally fit enough and strong enough to do that. But I know that they're going to back me too, and I trust them, and they trust me. And I think that's a really key word in this topic, because trust is huge and having mentality is huge at this level. So I trust myself, I trust my teammates, and that's how I stay calm.
You always are taking on new challenges. So you know
Mhm.
we were supposed to do this event a few weeks ago, but
Yeah.
you've got this budding broadcasting
Oh,
career,
the second job.
the
Yes.
second job. Talk about people. We were getting questions in the chat. People want to know
Uh-huh.
about your experience jumping into broadcasting. And
Mhm.
I guess I would, just to sum up some of the questions that we're getting here, how would you say that the jump to broadcasting is maybe impacting you as a player?
It's so fun. I love it. I'm having such a good time. The guys who I work with are incredible, and they support me and they set me up for success with the questions that they ask. And we're learning from each other and our different, you know, I guess, experiences of the game is really, really fun to share. And the knowledge that we have is great. So I think that when I'm watching games, I'm analyzing so much more now, and I'm really seeing themes of play during the game, and I really apply that to certain questions that I ask the players and coaches, or you know, how I'm answering the questions that are asked of me. And I find it very interesting because I do have to watch a lot of soccer. There's so much preparation in this. It's a lot harder than what you see on TV. I spend hours after practice. I get home from training, I take the dogs on a walk, and then I come back and I sit in the office and I you know, prepare. I watch clips of the opponent. I watch clips of, you know, Orlando City, obviously. I watch interviews. I'm on press conferences. I'm on media calls. There's so much more to it than what you see as a supporter or fan. And so I have so much respect for broadcast crews and you know, media crews. And I think that the work that they do is really should be respected because it's tough. It's also fun to just talk football. I really enjoy it and I'm learning a lot. And yes, it does help me as a player. I see it from a different view. And During my coaching course too, I could say I now, you know, see see soccer, football on a different view as well now as a coach, and kind of taking my player hat off and putting my coach's hat on. And now I'm putting my broadcasting and sideline reporting, analyzing hat on and taking my player hat off. So it's really good to apply all of those into one to be a complete player and also a complete analyst and coach, hopefully in the future. So it's really fun for me. It's good to kind of take my mind off of things right now. I know maybe with other people who are watching, you're taking up other hobbies or jobs just to get your mind off of what's actually going on in the middle of this pandemic. And I think it's been really good for me and mentally healthy for me to do so.
So last question, and then we'll wrap up and pass it back to Jen.
Yeah.
For Allie, before we get to the last question, it's been such a privilege to chat with you and
Same,
talk
Andrew.
through all this.
Thank you.
I guess, one question I have, right, and I think you still have chapters to write on the field, but when the Allie Krieger as a player story is done, right, whenever that is, what do you want people to think when they say Allie Krieger?
I just want people to understand that I'm leaving the game better than where I found it. And I'm not just a footballer. I'm a human being, and I, never want to just be defined by soccer. I want to be defined by being a good person, being a good teammate, and being a hard worker, and inspiring other people to do the same. So I, first and foremost, I care about how I make people feel. And at the end of the day, that's what people remember most. And I think that goes along with how you treat fans and how you treat, club officials and how you treat your teammates. That's really important. And staff members within the national team, staff members within the club organizations, and most importantly, my family. And I just have respect for everyone and what they do. At the end of the day, and I think it's important that we treat each other like that, and we help each other because people need people. And I just want people to remember me not just by a footballer, but as a good person who's empathetic and who cares about other people.
Allie, you're well on your way to that legacy, that's for sure. It's been such a pleasure. If anybody wants to listen back to this conversation, it's going to be on the Everybody Pulls the Tarp podcast, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you stream your podcasts. You'll be able to get clips in the next couple of days at Andrew Moses 123 on Instagram. Jen, thank you again for hosting. It's been a great treat to facilitate this conversation and sit down with Allie today.
Absolutely. Wow. What an inspirational hour. Thank you so much, Allie and Andrew. You make Penn Staters around the world proud. That was so wonderful. Thank you for all of your insights, Allie. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. You clearly, watching the chat, have many fans out there, both from Penn State and from all the other places that you've traveled. So
I know I saw a bunch, and I just wanted to say, not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but before I go, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the supporters and Penn State alumni. I love you guys. You mean a lot to me and inspire me to continue to do what I do. And I know we will get through this together, this pandemic, but keep pushing. And I know we're all human at the end of the day, so give yourself some grace and try something new during this time. Something that will inspire you to be better. That's what I just want to leave you with. And I saw Jen Green too for 2007 lacrosse at Penn State. She was giving us a shout out on the chat. So I wanted to say hi to her as well.
Excellent. Yeah, I think we had a lot of old friends and new friends.
I didn't see everyone, but so yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, again, thank you so much, Allie, for your time. We know you're super busy with all of your different roles, and thank you for spending the hour with us. And Andrew, thank you so much for putting this together. What you're building is so great, and this was just wonderful for Penn Staters everywhere and for fans. So thank you all for your attendance. Thank you for joining us today. We really hope you enjoyed it, and thank you so much again, Allie and Andrew.
Thank you.
Have a great day,
Thanks,
everyone.
Andrew.
Thank you.